Hi everyone. In the previous class, we have seen the concept of validations. Means when we are getting certain input from the user, we need to validate from our end. That kind of validations we can call it as JavaScript validations. Okay, fine. In today's class, we'll see the concept of JavaScript events. Events means any kind of actions that can be done by the user or browser on the web page. We can call it as JavaScript events. Okay, like when the user clicks on a particular element on the browser or a window, we can call it as an event. Or if the user performs double click operation on the document, we can call it as JavaScript event. Or it can be like when the user places cursor over a particular element, then we can call it as mouse over event. Mouse over. Like this, we'll have various kind of user events are there. Not only this, we'll have various kind of browser events. Like we'll have load event or resize event, etc. These are the various kind of browser events are available for you in order to work with for various kind of requirements. Okay, fine. Here I have list down various kind of HTML events like click is a kind of HTML event, double click, mouse over. All these are various kind of events are there. Like let me classify them. So these all we call it as mouse events. Click, double click, mouse over, mouse out, mouse down, mouse up, all are various kind of mouse events. Keyboard events like key up, key down, all these are various kind of keyboard events. If you go for some kind of form events, the form events are like submit, focus, blur, input, change. These are the various kind of form events, and these are various kind of browser events like load, resize, etc. These are various kind of browser events. Okay, guys, fine. See what will happen when you are going to write your HTML code along with JavaScript in your page. The JavaScript code is going to be reacted to your code and perform actions. And perform actions. This process will be called as event handling. Event handling, and this event handling is done because of various kind of event handlers. Various kind of event handlers like for any kind of event handler, it's going to start with a word called on followed with the given event name. On click is a event handler for double click. On db click is the event handler for double click. On mouse over is the event handler for on mouse over. So like this we'll have various kind of event handlers are there. I mean HTML has provided various kind of events, and we are going to write certain set of JavaScript code. If these would like to communicate, we require a mediator called event handlers. Those event handlers are going to start with on word followed by the event name. This is what we have written in the previous class also. We have a certain set of HTML code and we have a certain set of JavaScript code. If these would like to communicate, we will use an event handler called on-click event handler. Okay, and if you visualize here, I'm trying to write something like computer. Computer. If I click on show password, it will perform some operation. This is what we call as because of event handling. That is also because of click operation. This is what we have seen. Similarly, when I place cursor over here, on mouse over event is activating. On mouse event is activating. This is what we have seen in the previous class itself. Okay, fine. Now my requirement is whenever I am going to check this box, I need to perform visibility of the password. Along with that, I need to go for some kind of border for the given image that I need to perform. Then what we can do, for example, I will call a function called sp function, right? In this sp function, I would like to write one function for change of color. Change of color. How we are going to change the color? Document dot get element by id of, I am going to access the element I dot. I would like to change its style dot borders. I need to change its border to 5 pixel solid red color. Solid red color. I have defined one function for it. Now, one way is we can able to call that function here. I can able to call the function here. If you observe in the output section, if I am going to enter something like Jaya, if I click here, automatically is going to perform the same kind of thing. Okay, fine. This is one way of calling. But writing this procedure is not the correct way, because sometimes you are going to reuse the function sp at somewhere. At that time, what will happen? It's going to internally call the cc function once again. So that is why this procedure is not recommended. Now what you can do is, instead, can we write like this? We can go for writing on click equal to, I will call the cc function. CC function, meaning that on the same HTML element, I have written two. One on click is SP function calling, another on click is CC function calling. I am refreshing. I am trying to enter some value. If I click checkbox here, it will show only Jaya, but it is not performing here border effects. So that is because of your JavaScript won't support calling same kind of event on the same element. So what I would like to conclude here is, whenever you are trying to call, when you are trying to call same event again on the same element, again on the same element, it won't work. It won't work. So to overcome this drawback, we are moving for a method called add event listener method. Add event listener method. So this method will support for calling the same event again and again for multiple times on the same event. Okay, guys, this add event listener method is going to accept three parameters. First parameter is event name. For example, my event name is click, and second parameter is function. That can be any kind of anonymous function, that can be any kind of normal function, or whatever it may be function. And third parameter is a boolean value, a boolean value. And you have to make sure the observe difference. Normally we are going to write in the event handler as on click, but here we are going to write only the click. How we are going to call this add event listener method? You are going to accept the element, right? On this element, you have to call this add event listener method. For example, I am trying to access my checkbox. On this, I am going to make event listener. I am going to make call of event listeners. Event listener of. I am trying to call click, comma. I am calling sp function. Sp function. If you would like to call some function with respect to click operation, then what I can do? I can write the same sp comma. I am going to write as. That's it. Okay, fine. Here I would like to implement the same thing. What I will do, I am going to create one JavaScript code section. First, I would like to accept that checkbox document dot get element by ID of my checkbox ID is yes. I am trying to store it in a variable because I would like to reuse for multiple times, or I will go with C. Okay. Now, once I have the property of checkbox, then what I can do, I can go for on click, right? On click, you can go with calling with help of add event listener method. Add event listener of. Listener of. First parameter is click parameter, and second parameter is function name. Function name is yes. Now check whether it is working or not. I'm going to refresh. I will write something like computer. Check. Yes, that is working. Fine. I have to get the borders also. I have to get the border also. So for that I have already implemented the function add event listener of. For the same click operation only, I need to have CC function. Refresh something like this and click OK. That will be done. See, that is the advantage of add event listener, meaning that for the same click operation, if you would like to call multiple functions, that is not possible generally, but with the help of add event listener, that will be possible. Okay, that is the advantage of this one. And one more advantage is, if you would like to separate, JavaScript code and HTML code, then we can go with a method called add event listener method. Guys, if you observe here, if you observe this checkbox, it contains pure HTML, and here I have written completely JavaScript code. So separating of HTML code and JavaScript code is possible with help of add event listener method. Okay, guys. Yes. This is what the concept of click event. And you know double click, if you are going to make two times of click on a particular element, then double click event is going to be raised. Mouse over, just now I have shown. Mouse out, you have shown. Mouse down means when you click on the mouse, clicking means it's a kind of a down event, mouse down event. And when you releasing that clicking property, that is what we call it as a mouse up. Mouse up. You can able to practice this. Okay. Now we'll go with the keyboard events. Keyboard events means if you are going to perform any kind of operation from the keyboard, like pressing some keyword, pressing some letter, alphabet, special symbol, alt keyword, caps lock, all this. When you are trying to press it, that is we call it as key up. Meaning that when you are trying to press, that is what we call it as key up. And when you are trying to release the key, that is what we call it as key down. Keto. Yeah, let me go with a small example here. What I will do is, see, whenever I am trying to type something here, that should be displayed somewhere here. For example, let me go with one paragraph tag, paragraph, display text here. I'm trying to give this ID for this one, P ID equal to P. ID equal to P. Yes, guys. So what I would like to do is, whenever user presses some key on the text field, then I need to call that data to copy that data to this display text here. What I will do is, I would like to get the element first, password field, right? How we are going to get document dot get element by ID of first. I'm going to place in a variable called D variable. Now from this D, I am going to call add event listener method. On this add event listener method, when the user presses key up, meaning that after pressing the key and releasing it, that is at the time only it will rise. Key up, I am going to call a function called display function. I would like to implement that display function here. Function display of, what I need to do, I need to first access the element, document dot get element by ID of first, and I need to get its value. That value I am going to store in a variable called v. In variable v, I have got the data. Now this value I need to store in which location? In this paragraph. First I need to get the paragraph. Document dot get element by ID of p, I have accessed. Here I need to modify it. I will go with the inner html equal to v. Now guys, you can observe here, if I refresh and trying to enter something, J A by A K R I S H N, whatever the thing that I am typing, that will be automatically displayed here. Meaning that when I am trying to perform some key operation, okay, that will be displayed because the event is triggering. N A, the event is triggering. So that is where we can work with these events, keyboard events. Okay, fine. For example, sometimes what will happen is when you are trying to type something here, automatically they are going to convert into capital letters cases. Then what we can do, I will simply make this comment. So actually what is happening there means, whatever the value that I am getting, that value I am going to make it into, convert into uppercase format, to uppercase, and again I am going to store in the same location. I'm going to store the same. See, I have get the value. That value I'm going to convert into uppercase, and that will be copied into the same location. Observe, I'm going to make it as text. If I made computer, observe, even though I'm entering the small letters, that will be converted automatically to the capital case. This is where you can able to work with the keyboard events. Okay, keyboard events means that can be any kind of key, control key, alt key, shift key, all those things will be applicable. Next, we'll go with the form events. Form events, we have seen in the previous class itself. One is submit event. If you'd like to submit some data to the server, then I can go with the submit event. Similarly, if I go with the focus event, which is responsible for when the user activates one element, then the focus event is going to be called, meaning that when user places cursor over a particular element, for example, if I refreshing, there is no active element right now, so meaning that there is no focus. When I place cursor here, this is what I will call it as focus, because I made it as active. So at that time, what kind of event is going to be called? That kind of event is a focus event, and the action we can able to define the JavaScript code. For example, I would like to change my background color of the text field. Then what I can do? Key up. Here in place of this one, I will go with focus, and I will call one function as BC function. I will go with function BC function. So this function is responsible for to change the background color, right? So if you would like to access the background color, I have to compulsory go with document dot get element by ID of. I need to access that field first. Dot, as a background color is a kind of a styling property, style dot background color equal to something. Observe. I'll refresh. If I press cursor, that will automatically perform some action. Okay, fine. So this is the use of focus event. Similarly, blur event. Blur event means when the user loses its control of a particular field, then the blur event is going to be raised. I mean, I mean, when the user entered some data, and trying to come out of this block, this is where we will get the blur event. Okay, fine. So what will happen at that time? Then what I can do? D dot add event listener of blur, comma. I am going to call a method called validate method, which I have already implemented. You can observe, guys. Refresh. I am trying to stripe something as JA, and when I loses its focus of this control, automatically is going to trigger the corresponding validate event. If it is as it is invalid, it is going to trigger this entire data. Okay, so this is what we call it as blur, meaning that when the user loses its focus on an element, blur event is going to be raised. Similarly, input event, when the user is giving certain input through the some format, then the input is going to be raised. For example, if I am trying to give some kind of alphabets, or some kind of numbers, or any kind of special symbols, then this input event is going to be triggered. It is going to be triggered. Yes, guys. So that is where you can go with the input. Okay, you can go with that. Next, we'll go with the change event. So change event means when the state of an object, when state of an object completely change, then you can go with the change event. For example, you can observe some difference. Instead of key up, I'm trying to define change. I'm trying to define change. Here what I will do is I will make this entire thing comment, and I am going to make it as uncomment these two lines. What I am doing actually, I am trying to get the value, trying to paste in a location called p location. P location. Now if you observe here, what is happening? If I am trying to type computer, it is not getting anything. But when we change its object, then only it will be displayed. That is the meaning of changing. When the state of an object is completely changed, then only the change event is going to be raised. Similarly, there are certain events related to browser events which are not involved by users. That is what we call it as browser events. Okay, load event means, for example, when the complete web page is loaded, then an event is going to be raised that is called as load. For example, I would like to take an image. When the image is completely loaded, then an event is raised. That event is called as load event. Okay, how we are going to define that? Let me take an image. Here I have already an image. What will happen when this entire image is loaded? Then I am going to call a function called L function. See guys, what will happen when you have slow internet and you are trying to work with the images? You may get feel bored, right? At the time, what you can do, show to the user, you can show you can show some kind of alert message. When the complete image is loaded, then only you have to say that alert images are loaded. That's where you can able to work with this. I will call a function called L function L function, and then I am going to make some kind of alert of load. As this is a small image and I am trying to load from the browser itself, system itself, that will be automatically show that as loaded. Okay, fine. This is the way you can able to work with load event. Similarly, you can go with another kind of event called resize event. So whenever you are trying to resize your web page, then automatically it is going to call this event. Add event listener of resize, comma. For example, I am going to call the same L function. I am trying to modify it. I will write here as don't resize me. I have written certain like this. Then whenever I am trying to resize, what happened? Why it is because of I am calling as onload function. I don't want to go for onload. Now you can observe nothing is happening. But whenever I am trying to resize, observe don't resize me. If I refresh once again, resize once again, automatically it is going to get so, resize. So how many number of times I'm going to resize, that many number of times it's going to show. This is what about the concept of events.